So according to a new report on the BBC, Vladimir Putin is open to a possible ceasefire in Ukraine. Putin recently spoke to President Erdogan of Turkey. BBC reports that Putin wants a, quote, promise that Ukraine will remain neutral and not join NATO. So obviously ending this war, getting Russia out of Ukraine, would save an awful lot of Ukrainian lives and perhaps restore the world to calm and a closer shade of normal. So everyone, of course, should be rooting for this on some level. Will it happen? Colonel Doug Macgregor is a former senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense, a veteran of war himself. We're happy to have him join us tonight. Doug, thanks so much for coming on. So people are very frustrated by what's happening to Ukraine, I think understandably, but there's been almost no talk of a peaceful end to this disaster. I'm not quite sure why no one's talking about that. Is it potentially possible?
Well, actually, Tucker, Mr. Zelensky has mentioned neutrality, along with some of the other conditions, autonomy for the Donbass, and renouncing any claim on Crimea. I think, in truth, the Russians and the Ukrainians are very close right now to a ceasefire and ultimately to some sort of agreement that ends this tragedy. Secretary Blinken's remarks this afternoon actually intimated that. He said that we would support President Zelensky's decision to sign an agreement. He didn't go into any other detail, but that's the first time that anybody has really mentioned this. The war is really over for the Ukrainians. They have been ground into bits. There's no question about that, despite what we report on our mainstream media. So the real question for us at this stage is, if there is an agreement, Tucker, are we going to live with the Russian people and their government? Or are we going to continue to pursue the sort of regime change dressed up as a Ukrainian war? Are we going to stop trying to use Ukraine or anybody else as a battering ram against Moscow, which is effectively what we've done? We really need to live with these people as opposed to kill them. I don't have an immediate answer, but somebody needs to deal with this because we do cohabit the planet.
Yeah, there are 144 million of them. But also, caught in the middle of this are the Ukrainians, a lot of people who have done nothing wrong and just kind of want to live and not be killed. And yet we interviewed a Republican, one of the most warlike Republican members of Congress last night, who sounded very disappointed and disapproving at the idea that there could be a ceasefire. She wants more war. That feels like a very common reaction in Washington. We want more Ukrainians to be killed. Why? I don't understand that.
Well, there are a lot of people that, first of all, don't understand that what the Russians have talked about is Austrian or Swedish-style neutrality. That certainly isn't destructive, and it hasn't harmed anybody. Austria certainly benefited from it. There's also the other problem that people have confused, and I'm talking about the people inside the Beltway, Russia with Iraq. Russia is not Iraq. This is not a country you can bully at will, and that's being demonstrated pretty conclusively. There are also people that are confused because they don't seem to understand that Ukraine is not Texas, that our military strength, our security needs to be improved in Texas first and foremost, not in the Ukraine. But then there's another aspect of this that people are missing inside the United States. We face the de-dollarization, frankly, of the international finance system if we don't bring this to a stop and start working with the rest of the world. India, China, numerous other countries, Brazil, have all said, look, we're not going to join the sanctions regime. The Germans and the Japanese have said, we'll buy oil and gas from the Russians. Sorry.
This could make us poor, and we should care, I think, about that. Thank you for reminding us. Doug Macgregor, good to see you.